Happy day, Lou. What's up, dude? How you
Not
doing?
much. Good. A little sleepy. I was up early this morning, but yeah, I'm a little sleepy, but let's do this.
Oh yeah, I've been an insomniac lately, so I totally get it.
Yeah.
All right, today we are talking to the awesome Chef Brian Howard of Sparrow Wolf in Chinatown. Awesome restaurant, coming up with some really interesting and exciting new things during this pandemic. And so we are talking today about reinvention. And because we're talking about reinvention, because, well, we have to innovate and reinvent right now because we have no choice. It forces us into that role, but sometimes that's a good thing.
Yes.
Reinvention. We're going to talk about reinvented foods today for pandemic provisions. So I'm going to start. I'm going to talk about the famous cronuts. And I know the cronut, yeah, it comes from 7 years ago, but that thing has a life of its own. I mean, if you go to Dominique Ansel's website, who's the inventor of the cronut, if you go to his website and his Instagram, you'll see like live feeds of like hundreds of people in New York City that will wait for a freaking cronut. Of course, a cronut, as you know, is a cross between a croissant and a donut.
Yes.
What's beautiful about his cronut, which there have been people that have tried to copy since he introduced it in 2013 in New York City on Mother's Day weekend, by the way. A lot of people have copied it, but he has trademarked the word cronut. So people who are using that term are actually using it illegally. The most interesting thing is that he's had 84 monthly flavors in New York City since 2013. And ready for this, they've never repeated a monthly flavor since its inception in 2013.
Huh.
So I love the creative genius behind that. I love that every single month you can get something new, and he's always going to come up with cool stuff. Love Dominique Ansel, pastry chef of the year, super awesome dude. Now he has his own little family, and he deserves all the credit for the cronut. Louie, what do you got?
Oh, I have, I have two of my favorites, two very beloved foods, and they got mashed up into one, which is the sushi burrito.
Love it! I love the sushi burrito!
So it was in 2011, I think, in San Francisco. Peter Yen, in his chain restaurant, fast casual chain restaurant, Sushi Rito. That's where the original sushi burrito was founded. And it's just really an overgrown maki, if you will. So a giant sushi rolled burrito style with all the greatest ingredients in the world, because a lot of people love sushi. What more can you ask for? Initially, it was kind of invented because of the portability of it.
We are so excited today because we have Chef Brian Howard of Sparrow Wolf in Chinatown.
Happy to be here, first of all. Thank you both for having me. I'm doing great. I'm fantastic. I'm kind of like, no matter what's going on in life, I stay the same. You know, I try to like just be even keeled and positive about everything that's coming my way. You know, I think I've learned a lot about how I see other people handle pressure, how I handle pressure. I've always been able to adapt to things that are happening in life. So, that's kind of the biggest thing for us is just like adapt and keep pushing forward and stay positive. And, we're all in this together. So you can either freak out and waste time. And unfortunately, there are certain people that just, can't succumb to the pressure of what's going on in the world. But I try to only manage what's in front of me. My goals have always been very short-stepped or one foot in front of the other goals. They're not. I don't look to next year's goals. I look for this week's goals. And I feel like if I focus on those things, I'm able to achieve more, and I take on less stress that way, right? And it carries less anxiety with the things. So day by day right now, right?
We have to bring up brunch because we know it's
Mm-hmm.
new for you right now, and you're going to be bringing some live music. And I have to say that I was totally freaking out when I saw the duck confit cinnamon rolls with duck fat frosting, because
Sure.
it was just like, oh,
Amazing,
Have
yeah.
you had a duck confit cinnamon roll before?
I've had duck confit, but not a duck confit cinnamon
So
roll.
I
Yeah.
created the duck confit cinnamon roll for a brunch at Comstown, the Cosmopolitan, in 2014,
Oh, okay.
and it had become such a it's really an OG hit, and it's got like its own little cult following. The moment we say we're selling them, we literally get emails for to-go orders and pre-orders already. Where I think we've already sold almost 100 before we've even done brunch.
Wow.
So it's one of those things. Now people can have it again every Sunday. And I guess to kind of go back to your question, of what I've learned or things like this, I think I've learned that certain things matter to me, or certain things used to matter to me more than they do after the pandemic. Right? I care less more about trying to search for awards or please these things. At the end of the day, all we have are our guests and our family and our staff around us. So none of that matters anymore. It really doesn't. Those things that were important to us. And I would say in March, we were at our peak as a restaurant where we had
Mm-hmm.
the team was at its highest level. We had just gotten this fantastic pastry chef. The desserts were finally where we wanted them. Fiscally, we were beating year over year. And then the pandemic happened, and all that kind of changed and shifted a little bit. And we used the time to reset and focus on what Sparrow Wolf was built to be.
Mm-hmm.
And when we opened Sparrow Wolf, it was meant to be a neighborhood restaurant. It was meant to be something for our community. I've spent almost 20 years in this town, and one of the things that we built this place on was hospitality. And this goes back to my grandmother, and all these things that I learned were, all I want to do is throw a dinner party every night. One thing that it did get away a little bit was like our guests that came through the door, we were mostly, 60% tourists at this point coming through the door. So they dictated the wine list had to be bigger. They wanted bigger, they had expense accounts. So they wanted tasting menus all the time. They wanted all these things that this restaurant was supposed to be really simple, delicious food. And again, going back to just having a dinner party every night. And so we used our time to like refocus the food back to like, making sure that we didn't lessen the quality of what we did, but maybe there weren't so many details in the plate, right? And we really focused on, when we have these really cool barbecued ribs on the menu right now. It's probably one of my favorite dishes. If you would have asked me in March to put barbecue ribs on the menu, I would have probably said, no, that's not what we're focused on right now. So it allowed me to do and listen to what my local guests were asking for. They've constantly 3 years, they've been asking for my burger. We put the burger on, right? So it's just that shift, right? And it was which was great because it allowed me it actually challenged my ego more, right? To have less ego and know that like, hey, we can put a burger on the menu. It's gonna be really fucking delicious. And it's a fun take on it. And so I learned, that's, I guess, to answer your question, what I learned over the pandemic, and I know where I'm kind of going backwards a little bit,
Okay.
but that was one of the biggest things I took away from it, was to really kind of focus on what our guest needs were and reset to that, to what our community wants.
But we also saw that McRib sandwich that's coming out.
Right.
Pretty excited about that.
That's a brunch banger, yeah.
Yes.
So those ribs inspired that sandwich. When we started talking about our brunch menu that's coming up. The ribs are probably one of my favorite things on the menu right now. We get these beautiful heritage pork country ribs, and we cure them in like Vietnamese flavors. So we use a little bit of like palm sugar and lemongrass and chilies, and it gets cured in that. And then we sous vide them, and then we smoke them, so they're like almost as perfect as you can get. And then we glaze them in like a fish sauce, like nak chom kind of thing, and top them with all these crunchy fried garlic and shallots and sesame seeds. And so when one of my sous chefs was like, we should do a McRib, and we kind of got into the conversation of how the cult following of the McRib sandwich and what it was. And I guess McDonald's had done this Sichuan sauce that was like, I don't know the exact history, but it made into this TV show, and it was like this big thing. So my chefs wanted to like focus on that, but taking it and turning the dial to make it the Sparrow Wolf kind of thing. So those ribs, you can see them kind of, the toppings are in the bun now instead of on the ribs, and it's a real big banger. Sure.
Why did you name your restaurant Sparrow Wolf?
Sparrow and Wolf is kind of finding that balance of, the sparrow, he's like a humble forger. He doesn't need a loud voice to be heard. He takes care of his family well. And the wolf, he's ferocious. He kind of leads the pack from the back. And,
Right.
so it's this balance. It's my yin and yang, right? The food has always been stylistically about old and new, right? Having a foundation of good technique, my French foundation of cooking, but always looking to the future and always trying to like see how we could be inspired by our surroundings, right? This Sparrow and Wolf was, like I said, it's inspired cuisine. I don't put it in a box and say it's this or that, but it's got to be cohesive and it's got to feel right. It's got to read right. So we task ourselves a lot with this restaurant can be in any neighborhood in in the country, in any city, but it'll always be inspired by our surroundings. So the menu will adapt to where we're at. We happen to be in my favorite neighborhood in Las Vegas, Chinatown. I've been eating on this street in Spring Mountain Road for 18 years or 20 years or something. I've been here, and I saw that the restaurants that were here when I moved here are still here today, right? And obviously my son's Cantonese and my wife's Cantonese, and so I have a good tie to that culture, and the Asian culture has always inspired me through ingredients. So I knew I could cook the way I wanted to here, and that we wouldn't, there was not going to be anybody being like, oh, that's a funny ingredient, or this, we don't eat that. So that's kind of how Sparrow and Wolf kind of came about.
Yeah, let's
Awesome.
talk a little bit more about those Chinatown vibes because,
Yep.
you're part of that movement that, Chinatown has never really honestly in this city been just Chinese food. It was a lot of different kinds of Asian food.
Sure.
Right.
But in recent years, it's become Sparrow and Wolf and Idio Tapas and Partage. And it's sort of become this like cool, and I hate the word foodie, but it is a foodie destination. Let's be
Sure.
honest. It's where
I think
foodies
it's always
go.
been a foodie destination.
But what makes you happy about being there?
Well, I knew, we paved the way. I'm proud to say that, Sparrow and Wolf was the first to, at least in this generation, to pave the way for the other restaurants to come and know that it'd be okay to open up in a neighborhood like this. People ask me like, you sure you want to go and open up in, Asian Town and in Chinatown? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. It makes the most sense to me. It's the best neighborhood to be in because one, it is a foodie town, or what I consider a foodie street. Some of the best food is on the street, if not the best. And the industry was coming out here for the last 18 years, and you could cook all hours of the night. It was, so to me, that was the smartest thing to do. Now, we've garnered so much. Like I said, now that Uber and Lyft and these things are available, we're getting the tourists off the strip to see what's going on in our town. We're no longer just the strip, right? We're seeing now, as this happened, I think, it sparked other things in other neighborhoods to happen. Now downtown's been taken off, and that's growing, and the Arts District's growing, and Summerlin's growing, and Henderson's still a bunch of chain restaurants, but eventually we'll get them there.
Right.
Yeah, bring something here to me. I'm in Henderson.
Are you?
Yeah.
We've talked about it so many times, and I've looked at many areas, and it's just I don't know. Soon enough, we will.
I want to talk a little bit about this upscale pantry that you got going on.
Sure.
Because I think it's a super fabulous idea. You've got I've seen miso rub steak, lamb neck, oysters. This is an amazing idea.
Not only did we look at this as an opportunity to maybe plant a seed if something was there, but fill a niche that we felt like is missing in town, right? And there are Michael's Gourmet Pantry in Kieran Way is probably the best retail shop when it comes to food in town. We love Kathy and Michael over there, and
awesome place.
This is different. This is like, I was looking at our menu has so many really cool condiments and just different things that maybe people aren't familiar using all the time, whether it's a miso paste or some of these stuff we're fermenting, or maybe people just want a fresh ball of pasta. Where do you go get a fresh ball of pasta? You want to make it with your son or do something like that. And we have the inventory here, so it only made sense. We have the packaging, we have the retail license for the beveraging already. So for us, it cost me nothing but to build the website and to be able to offer, and plus I just got these really cool Sparrow and Wolf oyster knives made.
Oh,
I saw those. They look
I
awesome.
want one of those. I want
You
one
got
of
it.
those. Yeah.
And I would love for everybody to have a video of me showing them how to chef an oyster, right? And what a date night, right? With somebody took you home
sexy.
and they had a thing of oysters, and you got to learn how to make make oysters while making whatever every other meal kit, or we can provide you something that sure, you can go to one of the great butcher shops in town and get a cut of meat, but we source our stuff really well, right? You know that you're going to
Right.
come here and get the best product, and that we've kind of helped marinate it for you, and we can, our ribs are already pre-sous vide already. All you have to do is drop them in the water or throw them on the grill and they're ready to go. So we can make dinner for most people a little bit more convenient. And I think people are starting to cook more at home for sure. And I know it's a daunting task for a lot of people. So we will give you the ability to have an easy way or an easy access into certain things. And then the goal is over the next couple of weeks, we can start doing some videos along with stuff that we're selling to show you how to utilize those things as well, with our meal kits and things that we're going to do. So
that's amazing.
It's in the beginning stages. We just launched retail yesterday. As a matter of fact, we got our first orders yesterday, and we're very excited. We're building the website end of it. So you'll be able to go on to sparrowwolflv.com and click, Sparrow Wolf Pantry, and you'll have a list of what we're featuring. Right now it's got, I think there's 3 wines and a cocktail, but it'll grow as we build this, and you'll have access to really cool stuff that you can't find in the store. We make fantastic bread, right? So people should have good sourdough, and they're making it at home, but let's, there's opportunities here for people. Come up and we can help you out.
This is going to be fantastic for you. I know it. We have to talk about local partnerships because you did just mention Cured Way, and I know you work with Desert Bloom Eco Farm, and you were just talking about local butchers. And what do you think about the local partnerships in Las Vegas? Because Louie and we've noticed that, especially in recent years, that there's really an awesome and different and unique camaraderie here in Las Vegas among chefs. There's not that, ooh, well, I'm not going to share this and I'm not going to do that you can find in some, maybe like LA or New York or some of the other foodie destinations. What do you think about it? What has it been like for you?
It's not a cutthroat town. I mean, I think, and I will argue this till, I'm blue in the face, that this is the best culinary town in the country, especially when they talk about the chefs and the camaraderie, right? Everybody wants everybody to win, right? There's enough for all of us to go around. Maybe not right now, but normally there's enough for everybody to go around. And my best interest is the reason why I opened a restaurant locally in Las Vegas was to see our city grow. I love the city. It was really good to me. It's been really good to me as a young cook coming up. And it's one of those cities, if you take care of it, it will take care of you. There's just so many great people doing great things here. I mean, you talk about Jolie Menina, right? Everything she's done over just the last 10 years that I can remember, everything she's done to contribute to this town has been amazing. James Trees is doing really fantastic with his restaurant and growing his brand well. There's so many good people just trying to win and help each other.
Louie and I've been doing a lot of thinking the last couple of months because we've had to reinvent as well, and we've had to adapt. A large percentage of restaurants, we know for a fact, are closing. We have friends that we just talked to yesterday that are closing a restaurant, a really awesome one. What can we do to help each other and survive this?
Well, that's a great question. I've been thinking about this for weeks, right? And I don't know the 100% answer, right? Because without guests coming through the door, or tourists coming in, I mean, I can tell you from my experience, right? 3 years we've been open. I don't think we've ever opened the doors with less than 60, 80 on the books. And it's, we'll double or triple that on the weekends. And we're down 40%, right, compared to where we were in March, right? And again, we're mostly tourists coming through the doors, and the tourists that are coming through the doors right now, they're here to party and be in the pool, and they're going to stay on the strip, and we get a little handful. We've been trying to follow trends, right, in things that we see, whether it's, Amex spends, right? Amex spends are down 70% compared to Discovery spends, where most of the Discovery cards are coming from the Midwest. So we look at these little things to kind of see. I don't know, outside of helping each other, things like you're doing, you're providing a platform for people and chefs and restaurants to come and talk, and you can spread the word of what they're doing, right? So I think what you're doing is fantastic. Being a support group, right, is the biggest thing, right? Because these are tough times, and you know what, I consider, even though we're hurting right now, we're going to get through this, I think. And my plan is to get through this, but I know that we're blessed on this side, right? I know that there's other restaurants that are really, really struggling. And I know when I have 50 on the books, I'm like cringing inside and I'm like, this is terrible, right? But I know there's restaurants that have like 5 or, they're not doing any business. So being mental support for people and, knowing that there's a network of people here in town that you can talk to, and, maybe you can steer people into the right direction that could save them. And, maybe it's a financial help thing or whatever. I think if you have the right people in your support group, there's opportunities.
Definitely.
But I don't know the answer. I'm like you in this, I don't have a crystal ball and I don't pretend to. And I'm very short-lived goals right now. It's like, let's get through today and I'm going to work on tomorrow and we're going to plan for next week. And, but yeah, this is nuts, right? This is something
really
none of us have experienced. So, fuck, I don't know. We just got to all stick together and keep riding. I've got some ideas, if shit hits the fan, we're going to rally as a group and we're going to do some cool stuff. Doesn't mean everybody's going to survive. Their business may not survive.
All right. We are moving on to Chef Show and Tell with Chef Brian Howard of Sparrow Wolf. What you got for us, Brian?
All right. I have this fun little marble mortar and pestle. Right. We have a lot of toys here. And I think the simplest ones are probably usually my favorite. It used to be a mandolin, a Vita Prep. But I've really come to love this for using spices, right? We use so many spices in our kitchen. I'm surprised more people don't use spices like as much as they should be. Like people are missing out on the combination of flavors when you start adding these toasted spices from all over the place. So even just hand mortared like pestos tend to be
I just discovered that lately.
Better than out of a Vita Prep, right?
FYI to everybody who's listening out there that doesn't quite have a culinary background. So what's the benefit of using a hand, mortared spice mix versus like buzzing it all like in a grinder?
Well, I find that, especially if you're toasting them, you're releasing the oils a little bit slower, right?
Yes.
It's a little more homogeneous and you're really kind of extracting all the flavor better than you would in a blender, right? I mean, it gets the job done, but especially too when you talk about using green herbs and things of that nature, they tend to hold their color better because there's less heat involved.
Right.
And it's fresher. You get a lot more of that herbaceousness than you would. And I find just like it's from a freshness factor that we only make what we need. We don't have to blend up. Most people
like a giant 4-quart.
Yeah, so less waste.
A cook.
Yeah.
He's like, I want to make a giant blender full of sauce that, should be made every day when it can do enough for what you need usually in just this. So one of my favorite tools, it's great for, grinding anything down, making purees. I love to take slow roasted garlic confit, cook it in a little bit of olive oil, and just put it in the mortar and grind it down to a smooth paste. I use it to replace like mayonnaise and stuff now on sandwiches or fresh dried legumes and things of that nature. You can just kind of make your own little purees and paste with it really easily. The marble is really smooth and porous, so as you grind it, it keeps this nice and soft interior, which it's a little less abrasive. Like the molcajete is fantastic for chilies and stuff like that, where you got to really kind of break those down. This is smoother. It's a little more finesse, right? A little more finesse than the other ones, I think.
Like care and upkeep, how do you wash it with like?
I wipe it out with a warm towel. I'll run a little bit of water in it, and then I oil it actually. So the oil helps keep it nice and from cracking or splitting and things like that.
Right. So you're basically like having it like develop its character
like a good cast iron pan. Yeah.
We are going to move on to On the Fly. Get my timer ready.
All right.
60 seconds, rapid fire questions with Chef Brian. And this is just like whatever comes to your mind.
Sure.
Chill. We know that you can do things on the fly because you're a badass chef. You ready to go, Lou?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Come on, Lou.
And go.
First question is best brunch item.
Best brunch item, duck confit cinnamon roll.
Cat or dog person?
Dogs, for sure.
Inspiration for your food outside of food. So mine's like art.
Everything. I get inspired by everything. I tend to always go to the water when I'm burning too hot inside, right? If that makes sense.
Love it.
But when the soul's full of fire, find yourself at the side of the beach, and I get inspired there. I mean, I find inspiration in everything.
What is always in your personal pantry?
Fish sauce, miso paste, koshos. We have a big no waste program here, so I know I'm taking a little bit of time, but you know, saving those citrus skins and salting and fermenting them really makes fun condiments for koshos and things of that nature.
Nice. Dream place to travel and eat?
Spain, Japan.
Keep going, Lou. We're gonna make him answer all these questions.
Of course. Childhood food craving.
Childhood food craving. Shit on a shingle. I grew up eating.
What is that?
I think
Holy
every
fuck.
Tuesday was like, you never heard of shit on a shingle?
No, never.
Toasted white bread, toasted Wonder Bread with deviled chicken mixed with cream of mushroom soup, and they would pour it over the top. Sounds terrible. It's delicious.
It's a crazy Midwest thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I haven't had it since I was a kid, but it was either that or like cold ravioli, Chef Boyardee ravioli out of the can.
Best self-care move?
Best self-care move? Well, cold press juicing, trimming your fucking nails. Right? I can't stand people with dirty long nails.
Right?
Moisturize. I don't know.
God, that's hilarious.
Is there anything that you do not eat?
I don't respond well to natto and viscera and things
Okay.
like fermented stomachs and stuff. I don't do it. I love brains and I love all that stuff. I used to eat a lot of it. I don't as much as I get older, but yeah, those are the products.
I know you like offals too, right?
Yeah, it was really big. And I mean, I don't eat as much that way anymore, just because I'm trying to be healthier as I get older. But yeah, no viscera for me.
Your kitchen cooking soundtrack?
Ooh, it changes. You can actually, if you go to the link in my Instagram, both Sparrow Wolf LV and Chef Brian Howard, if you click on the link there, you'll have access to my Spotify playlist right there.
Ooh, we'll
So
do
it
that.
changes. You will look at it and you'll be like, this is the most diverse, crazy playlist. It will go from Egyptian drums to, really cool Spanish, Latin stuff to really hardcore rap. I mean, it's all over the board. The only thing I don't really do is country, but I love Cuban music when I cook. There's something about horns. I really love horns and drums.
Oh,
Okay.
amazing. So,
Last question.
What haven't you done that you really want to do?
I want to travel more, right? Like and I mean, I've traveled a lot, but I've traveled mostly in the States and Canada and Mexico, and I've never been to Europe or Japan or any of these countries where I cook really well in those areas just because I study them, but I've never been abroad yet. So I had 3 trips planned this year, 4 actually, that all got smashed because of COVID. So hopefully next year we'll pick up where we left off and start traveling. I think that's where a lot of inspiration for me will come.
For sure, Chef. I can't even wait to taste your food after you have traveled, because you're going to be you're fire. You're going to be super fire then.
Inspiration.
Yeah, it's just going to hit you.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and sell it for Sparrow and Wolf, Chef, or whatever you'd like to sell it for.
Absolutely. Sparrow and Wolf, we're 4480 Spring Mountain Road. You can't miss us. We have a beautiful mural now by Heather Grace, one of our local artists, but it's really about just super delicious food. The menu changes often. We've got the best family group in town that works here. And, like I said, we focus on no waste. We focus on our community. We focus on making you better after you leave this room in terms of the way you eat and the way you think about food. But really, it comes down to the people that work here, and I think you'll walk into this room and you'll be like, man, I hear it every day. Your staff. And like I said, this restaurant's not about me. It's about the people that work here, the people that come into the door. So we do brunch. We're open Tuesday through Saturday, 5 to 10, and then brunch on Sundays, 11 to 3. Our pantry's open those same days. You pre-order the 24-hour in advance, and you can pick up the next day from 3 p.m. on. And we always got new stuff coming for you. So, what's been great though? I tell you, we've gotten so many new local guests since the pandemic, and people coming out of quarantine, people that have wanted to get here and haven't yet, which was amazing because it's another new opportunity to make it a home for someone else and make it a special place for someone else. So we're appreciative of our guests first and foremost, and what you guys do too. So thank you for bringing us on and sharing us with the community.
Chef, thank you so much. You can watch this on YouTube and listen to us on your favorite podcast app. Thank you so much, Brian. We will actually be in very soon. I'm gonna kill that duck confit cinnamon roll.
I hope so. Well, there's a funny story. That cinnamon roll, and I'm hoping this weekend is the 4th, but three women have eaten it and gone into labor.
What?
This is not. There's no
it's not
exaggeration.
good.
There's got to be something scientifically, and they were all very close to having babies and ready to go. And I kid you not, 2 at Cumsaw, 1 at Sparrow Wolf. I have one that is coming in this weekend because I told her that, and she's like, "We'll see if it's true." So
I was gonna ask, is she pregnant again?
Right? Fun facts that no one tell.
That's amazing. You should have like a little wall of fame.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like good for fertility too, because then I'll come in and have it just for that.
Right?
So make some babies too.
It's funny.
All right. Thank you so much, Chef
All right.
Brian.
Later,
We'll
kids.
See you soon.
Bye.